As the lawmen of the Old West attempt to keep the towns clear of criminality, there's one who's rumoured to have his hand deep in the cookie jar, turning a blind eye to particular activities surrounding them. Sheriff Curtis Malloy of Valentine. Although at face value he appears to be overseeing his town, there are rumours circulating as to his true intentions, and today we're going to be exploring his apparent seedy ways. Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming. If you enjoy the following, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. And with that being said, let's get into what we came here to see. Sheriff Curtis Malloy, the biggest crook in town. The Malloy family have lived in the town of Valentine for some time. This is shown at the gravesite next to the church in town, where several family members have been laid to rest, including Victoria Malloy, mother of the sheriff. How exactly the family ended up in law enforcement is unclear, but it's possible that Curtis was following in his family's footsteps. In 1899, the town of Valentine has grown pretty vast. It's not only a livestock town, but has its own bank, a couple of saloons, a hotel, general store, a train station, a church, a stable, plus many homes for its residents. It's a thriving and active community that seems relatively peaceful, but is it a little large for just one sheriff and a few deputies? In order to combat this and potentially deter any criminal activity, Sheriff Curtis Malloy must display a strong and intimidating presence, making an example out of those who break the law. We see this at the hanging of one of the locals due to their crimes of murder.
Justice will be served in this town today!
Yeah, justice needs doing.
You took three innocent lives, and for that, the law demands that you shall pay with your own.
No, please, God, no!
Please let me go.
Do you have any last words before you meet your judgment?
Yeah, I wish I could kill them all over again. I love you, baby. Be good, son.
We will not tolerate detritus like this in our community. Justice prevail today.
We often see the sheriff patrolling the town, keeping watch, occasionally checking in with the townsfolk in an attempt to keep the peace and avoid any unnecessary crimes.
Any trouble last night?
Nothing more than usual.
Well, trouble is usual. You're right about that.
Although on the surface, Sheriff Malloy appears to be an upstanding lawman, abiding by the rules he administers, there are some who believe he's not as clean-cut as he represents himself to be. Whilst enjoying a shot of whiskey in the smaller Valentine saloon operated by one Ned Keane, I was approached by a gentleman who gave his 2 cents on the corruption of the town and the sheriff's seedy involvement.
So you here for the auction? Because my advice would be to steer well clear of the fellow who runs that auction yard. Morris Payton's his name. Crooked as a dog's hind leg. More of a friend of the rustlers than any working man. And does Sheriff Malloy do anything about it? Of course he don't. They're all in it together. Anyways, I can see you ain't interested in any of this, so I'll just shut my mouth.
Was this true? Was the sheriff turning a blind eye to corruption for his own financial gain? Exploring some more in a small livestock town would provide the answers to this question. It seems that even though Sheriff Malloy is determined to put an end to crime, as we noted during his speech at the hanging of the criminal, he doesn't seem to mind local gangs such as the O'Driscolls roaming around his town, causing havoc and intimidating the locals, as seen within the following 2 interactions.
I've only got to click my fingers and this town will string you up and call it justice.
Look at you, another coward trying to play it tough.
You borrow from the O'Driscoll boys, you pay the O'Driscoll boys.
Hey, quit this damn foolishness.
What you staring at? About the interest.
Further adding to this, boldly to the rear of the sheriff's office, in the back room of Dr. Ben Calloway's store, a deputy is seen taking a bribe from an unknown character, which we later discover to be the same O'Driscoll gang, creating some dodgy dealings away from the prying eyes of the town. On top of the already active gang criminality, the sheriff doesn't seem to mind the citizens happily attempting to kill one another during duels. Situations like this occur mere meters away from his office, and yet no action is taken to apprehend those involved and put an end to the situation. There's also the travelling community on the outskirts of town, who don't take too kindly to what they believe are trespassers. They've situated themselves firmly in the town of Valentine, and yet they'll all make no attempt to remove them from the land. Is it possible that they too are providing bribes to the sheriff and his deputies? Potentially, maybe a slice of the pie from the takings of the small travelling show that they provide? Time and time again, we see the sheriff avoid confrontations. During as early as Chapter 2, during a large bar brawl between members of the Valentine gang and some of the saloon patrons, even when the fight spills out onto the street during the attention of the entire town, the sheriff and his deputies are nowhere to be seen. There's absolutely no way that they wouldn't have been aware of the brawl. It seems that they're happy to let some problems sort themselves out. There's also similar situations, such as the man attempting to drown his wife, or when everybody's favourite uncle is being pushed around by a much younger patron at Keen's saloon. The law is nowhere to be seen. Probably the most prominent occasion where Sheriff Malloy has bowed out of a violent encounter is towards the end of Chapter 2, in the mission titled The Sheep and the Goats. During the attempted escape of the Valentine gang, a large force combination of the Pinkerton Detective Agency and the local law are all doing what they can to prevent an escape. Everybody seems to be involved, yet Sheriff Malloy isn't present. Later, when the gang return to hit the Bank of Valentine, in the Chapter 3 mission titled Sodom Back to Gomorrah, the entire local law are battling with the gang, once again trying to prevent their escape. And of course, Sheriff Curtis Malloy is AWOL from this situation once more. Further adding to the sheriff's cowardice when it comes to certain criminality, he seems very happy to have others perform duties that either himself or his local deputies could easily have dealt with. Very early on, Arthur can take on bounties for cash, tracking down wanted criminals and bringing them to justice.
You bring me what I need, and I'll pay you well, and I won't ask no questions.
So, what is it you need?
Why don't you have a look at that poster on the wall over there?
We later see this again when Malloy offers Arthur a second bounty to track down one Ellie Ann Swan.
If I ain't mistaken, you're looking for a bounty. Look no further than that wall, son.
Are we seriously believing that neither the sheriff or his deputies couldn't track down either one of those two wanted criminals? Did they really need to outsource this? Or was it simply fear of the unknown behind the reason? Did he not feel comfortable outside the confines of his own town? Going back to the criminals in Valentine and the surrounding areas, there's more examples of the sheriff happily allowing others to do his work for him in exchange for payment. I appreciate that bounty hunting was a common form of employment around this era, but it doesn't always excuse a lack of initiative by the sheriff. An example of this is during an interaction with a working girl who requests the immediate assistance of Arthur Morgan.
Hey, mister! Yeah, you! Come over here! I'm in a real bind. This fella, he's in a bad way. You gotta help me. I'll pay you.
Okay, calm down. Where is he?
He's inside. Upstairs. Come with me. I'll show you. It was me or him.
The
I
hell
swear.
is this?
I gotta clean this room. Can you get rid of him, please?
This
You
one's
lying
for
bastard. You let me
Just
go.
put a knife in some fella over at the saloon.
Painted
This
cat
man's
got
a
sharp
liar.
claws, has she?
You don't believe a word he
Put her in the
says.
cell. I'll take care of her from here.
Upon bringing her to justice, the sheriff is happy to hand out payment for your services, but sometimes this isn't always the case. It seems that whether the lawman decides to in fact pay you may depend on his current mood. An example of this is when Arthur uncovers the serial killer, Edmund Lowry Jr. When bringing him in, the sheriff looks immediately intimidated and terrified, showing his cowardice once more. But look what happens if you choose not to act on the sheriff's behalf during the following altercation.
Okay, come on, you.
My name is Edmund Lowry Jr. And you'll remember that, my friend.
I'm sure I shall. You are a frightening fella.
Oh, I'll behave, sir. I'll behave as expected.
Well, you better. And I'll get you a lawyer, don't you worry about that. And you get in that cell, calm as you be. Get him off me!
My reward?
Your reward? Get the hell out of here. That's your goddamn reward. Go on out.
Even though Arthur tracked down the criminal through a series of investigating and brought him to justice, simply because we don't save Malloy from the insane individual, no offer of bounty payment is put forward, or because he was now upset with Arthur. The serial killing working girl brought in earlier by Arthur is soon sent to the gallows, where Sheriff Malloy once more gives a powerful and intimidating speech about justice and law, as if he were the one who did any of the legwork in the capture of the killer.
Beef, pork, venison, all right here,
We
folks.
have come to see the rule of law enacted. Woohoo! We will not sit idly by as people take the law into their own hands.
Oh, hey!
And you, today, believe me, you will see the rule of law.
I'm not a killer. Those bastards were monsters.
This lady here is guilty of multiple counts of murder,
Burn in hell, you bitch!
posing as a lady of ill repute to lure innocent men,
You miserable sow!
stabbing them to death at their most vulnerable, then disposing of their bodies. She shows no remorse, neither shall we.
Let's go!
The time has come for your judgment. No need to wait. Release the floor. Let it be known that Valentine is a community of law and order.
It's just not right.
I tell you, this place is cursed.
And today, law and order won out. Leave her body here to rot.
She finally got it.
Yep, bitch got what was coming, pardon my language.
The sheriff also has a temper. Although a lot of this was brought on by myself antagonising the character, there is a dark secret that he's withholding. Casting our minds back to when we brought Benedict Albright to the office, Arthur interrupted the sheriff having a private and somewhat romantic conversation with one of the townsfolk, a lady named Moira.
Oh, my lord. I wasn't expecting you back so soon. Mrs. Calthorpe was just leaving.
Sure. Where you want him?
Selling the back.
Now, sure, how much was you offering?
$50. Here.
Thank you. Madam.
Please, remember what I told you.
Startled by the quick return of Arthur, he quickly makes his excuses for Moira to leave. Following this, when we later return the second bounty of Eliane Swan, she will go on to comment about the sheriff's secret affair with Moira, whom we've learned at this point is already married. Malloy reacts angrily towards this announcement.
You see, Sheriff, I know your secrets, and I could spread them all over. Like Miss Moria?
Don't you dare mention Moira again. Now hush.
Those who feel brave enough to somehow search the body of the sheriff will discover a letter addressed to himself from Moira, which reads as follows. Curtis, this is too much too much. You are breaking my heart. I have disgraced myself as a wife, and now I am disgracing myself as a Christian. How can you do this to me? Does it make you happy to see me suffer so? Are you really that sick that you take pleasure in my suffering? M. It seems that Moira is placing blame for the affair solely on the sheriff, which is odd because it definitely takes two to tango. But what about the part about his cruelty? Where is that coming from? Maybe he's made promises he's yet to obligate to his secret lover. The details are unclear, but what soon becomes clear is the true nature of the sadistic character of Curtis Malloy, as he becomes afeard of the town discovering the couple's affair.
Oh, Moira, don't be like that, please.
How do you want me to be?
But I love you.
You don't love anyone. Not me, not your wife, no one.
Oh, you're impossible.
Impossible? Really? I've wasted years on you and I'm impossible.
You're married too. You can be impossible.
Impossible. You are a sad little small town, self-important rat of a man. You know that? A rat. A rat who thinks he's a cat. That's your problem. Go to hell.
Most of the town seemed to already know of the affair, so this unlawful killing of Moira was absolutely unnecessary. This once again shows Sheriff Malloy to be the coward we see over and over again. He seemed terrified of the repercussions of Moira's husband. There's a strong rumour circulating that Valentine is a town under a curse of some sorts. Mary, Beth and Karen can be heard discussing this back at camp.
Some lady I was speaking to in town told me about a curse.
A curse? Now nothing's more romantic than a curse.
Exactly. Prince turned into a toad, lovers into stone, entire country turned into morons. Curses everywhere.
What's Valentine's curse?
Well, I didn't quite understand what the woman was saying, kind of her being a bit of an idiot, but something about a massacre and a last surviving Indian cursing the county.
Well, if they massacred people, then they deserve to be cursed.
Of course. You believe in curses, Arthur?
No, I believe in bullets, and not too much else.
You soulless wretch.
But what was it? Was it just bad luck or bad weather or something else?
Something about an eagle or an owl. And a gravesite. I didn't really get it.
People may blame the mysterious deaths such as Moira's on set case, but as we can see, it's nothing more than the actions of a cowardice madman. As we explored the town of Valentine and the subject of Sheriff Curtis Malloy more and more, we increasingly become aware of the man he truly is. Although at face value, he appears to be a strong individual who makes sure that the law is followed to the letter, his shady dealings with local criminals, his cowardice absence from shootouts and brawls, his acceptance of bounty hunters taking on easy captures instead of either himself or his deputies, and his willingness to commit murders who he represents himself to be so against, shows us that the Valentine Sheriff is nothing more than a coward, a bully, a manipulator, a criminal, and above all else, a murderer. Is the town of Valentine truly cursed as many would believe? Yes, and that curse goes by the name of Sheriff Curtis Malloy. If you guys enjoyed today's video, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. If you wish to see me cover a detailed analysis on any particular character from either Red Dead Redemption 2 or Grand Theft Auto 5, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you all for watching. You've been listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming, and I'll see you in the next video.